Hello there. So today we're going to look at why Sweden and Norway are done with Germany's bullshit. The trouble here is that we have an interconnected electricity network in Europe, and basically what happens is once we have to bail Germany out, which is going to happen much and much more, especially during these cold winters where we have these doldrums, moments when there's little wind and there's little solar, and the only thing that keeps the German economy running is natural gas, coal, lignite, and some biomass. That's when their neighbors have to basically, take a deep breath and hold their breath for maybe weeks, because at those points the electricity prices spike in their countries. So let's see what Norway has to do. Right, Norway campaigns to cut energy links to Europe as power prices soar. Country's energy minister describes shit situation as domestic prices hit highest level since 2009. Norway's two governing parties want to scrap an electricity interconnector to Denmark. Keep that in mind, with the junior coalition partner also calling for a renegotiation of power links to the UK and Germany as sky-high prices trigger panic in the rich Nordic country. Then Visegrad over here, Sweden Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Energy Ebba Busch today stated that she's furious with Germany for dismantling its nuclear power plants, causing a spike in energy prices in Sweden. So what happens is, southern Sweden has record high energy prices today due to having to send electricity to Germany via undersea power cables. Cold weather coupled with no wind has driven up the demand in Germany from other sources than wind. EU regulations force Sweden to send that electricity to Germany, driving up prices in southern Sweden today to be nearly 200 times higher than they are in northern Sweden. A 10-minute shower in southern Sweden costs around USD 5, so $5 during today's price spike. Ebba Busch added that Germany's decision to dismantle its nuclear power plants has also other detrimental effects in Europe. I'm furious with the Germans. They've made a decision for their country, which they have the right to make. It is their right to decide, but it has had serious consequences. Also for the EU's competitiveness, because we see that German competitiveness has dropped significantly. She said that Germany's actions have also reduced its ability to help Ukraine. After Russia's invasion of Ukraine, they still chose to dismantle their nuclear power plants. I respect that people can have different opinions about nuclear power plants, but we could have kept it. They are important because they are base load power plants. Having access to such base load power plants would have increased the transmission capacity from Germany to other electricity price areas in Europe, driving down prices for all of us. And this is the whole thing that people don't get. We have these never-ending discussions with these renewable fanboys on the internet. They keep telling us, renewables keep getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, and by the time that they've become as cheap as they are now, then nothing can compete with them. The trouble is, at some points there's nothing to compete with. Like now, it's cloudy. The heavens are the clouds are obscuring the sun, which means that there's no solar energy. And right now we're in a high pressure area. There's almost no wind. We are in a real doldrum right now. There's no wind in the UK. There's no wind in the North Sea. There's no wind in Denmark. There's no wind in Germany. I mean, it's a disaster. So let's see where this happened. Right now I'm in the Apex Spot Market website. Over here, you can see the prices that we have to pay as Europeans for electricity. So France, 134 euros per megawatt hour. Then the Netherlands over here, I believe it's 171. Germany, 168. And Poland, 148. So then we go to Sweden, southern Sweden, 172, southern Norway, 169. But what you can see happening, and this is because they have what you call poor north-south transmission capacity, is that the prices in northern Sweden and in northern Norway are relatively low, 37 euros per megawatt hour, 8.96 euros per megawatt hour, €1.50 per megawatt hour. And over here in Finland, we see the same, €13.70 per megawatt hour. So we go to the grid map over here, you can see all this pink stuff. Those are the interconnectors, right? So, and also some transmission networks that go to the onshore wind farms. So what you can see here, there's a couple of interconnectors that run from Norway to the UK, Norway to the Netherlands, Norway to Germany. Then there's a couple of interconnectors going to Denmark. Then there's an interconnector going from Sweden to Denmark. And then there's an interconnector over here going from Denmark to Germany, from Sweden to Germany, again from Sweden to Germany. Let's see, is this still Germany? No, that's Poland. So from Sweden to Poland, and then over here from Sweden to the Baltics. Now, this is also pretty important for those who don't know, but at this moment, it looks like the Baltics are still integrated with the Russian network. They have the same the same color, which basically means that they have the same voltage. But they are decoupling from Russia as we speak, and they are trying to attach themselves to Poland, Sweden, and Finland, basically. That's how they interconnect with the European, the EU countries that have electricity to sell. So what you see over here right now, and this is the problem. Well, I can't really show where. Germany is around here-ish, right? So the Netherlands and the Germany, they are roughly in the same position at this moment. If there's a little wind in Germany, generally there is little wind in the Netherlands. So what happens is industrial Germany, they want to keep the lights on. They want to keep their factories running. So they have to burn a lot more gas than they would used to. Now, the trouble with gas is, first of all, it's getting taxed higher due to the ETS system, which means that you have these carbon allowances. And whenever you get, beyond your carbon allowance, you have to pay a fine, which is going to happen during these doldrums. It's unavoidable. So let's say that you pay €100 per kilogram of CO2 emitted. So that makes gas already expensive. But what we have is a conflux of problems. So, regular Joes like me and you, if you live in Germany, chances are pretty big that we cook our dinner using natural gas, that we heat our bath water using natural gas, and that we heat our homes using natural gas. So that's the first demand side. Then we get industry. You use natural gas to make ammonia, for instance, or to heat, to create process heat, or to create some kind of a synthetic product that we use for something else. So that's the second, basically, demand for natural gas. And then we get electricity. We make electricity using natural gas. So during the cold times, right now it's pretty cold. In the Netherlands, it's like 4 degrees centigrade. What you get is that everybody is using natural gas to heat their homes. In Germany, it's probably the same, although the number of homes there that use natural gas are not as ubiquitous as they are in the Netherlands. I believe that we have like 95% of our homes using natural gas these days. In Germany, that number is lower. So the demand for gas is just swelling up and swelling up and swelling up and swelling up. So let's go back to the market prices. So this is December 6th that I have selected. Let's see what happens when we go to the December 7th, right? We see that the prices increase marginally. Then December 8th. Oh, look, what is that? We went from 168 euros per megawatt hour in Germany to 653 euros per megawatt hour on the 7th, to 856 in December 8th, and then 998 on December 9th to December 12th, then 9th to December 10th. Then we get December 10 to 11, 923. Then we get to yesterday, I believe, yes, it's 811, and then today, 704, and maybe tomorrow. You see the prices are going down slightly, but they stay high. They stay very high. The expectations is that it will take up until the 20th, 21st to get back down to the level where they were on December 6th. So this is a 2-week period where prices skyrocket simply because there's no wind. There's no wind. There's no solar. You know, how blind is everybody to say that wind and solar are going to save us all? Honestly, I don't get you people. I'm so frustrated at this moment. 22 gigawatts had to go because, the nuclear is unsafe and nuclear is eye-wateringly expensive. Those are the arguments. Those are the only two arguments we don't like it. Because it's expensive and because it's dangerous and because the waste. But look at what happens when you don't have it. When Germany, at the heart of Europe, who produces who produces most of the goods that we export as a European nation, when they don't have the wind and solar that they promised us that they would have at the moments when the wind wouldn't be there and the solar wouldn't be there, the sun wouldn't shine. I mean, this is what you get. 923 euros per megawatt hour. This is eye-watering expensive. Paying 150 euros for nuclear energy. Let's say that is the most expensive that nuclear energy has gotten so far. If we look at Hinkley Point C, that's nothing. It's nothing. You can have that for system. You can make a system that will balance it out and make electricity for end users that cost somewhere between 80 and 150 euros per megawatt hour, which is not expensive compared to this. So this is basically the German hypocrisy. This is what happens when we give in to their fears. And also, what we also have to realize is that they had 22 gigawatts of nuclear power. They had it, and they chose to close it. Those nuclear reactors were finished. They had operating staff that was trained. They had at least 20, maybe even 30 years life left in them. That nuclear energy was not expensive. Yes, if you want to build a new plant and you only do one, that will make you expensive electricity. But if you make it a project, if you make it a plan, if you make it a fleet, if you want to make it a project, a nuclear energy project for an entire country, where you say, okay, we are going to build 10 nuclear power plants, 10. That's the moment when you start getting a learning curve where electricity actually becomes cheaper. And what you do basically is you say, okay, there's one entity who builds all 10 of these, one entity, and they're going to sell the electricity of all these 10 plants. They can even it out. So say that the electricity from the levelized cost of electricity, which is one of those silly metrics that people like to use, for the first unit is 150 euros per megawatt hour. Then the levelized cost of electricity for the 10th will be 60 euros per megawatt hour. If you then take the average of all those plants together, then you get to 70, maybe 75 euros per megawatt hour. That's not expensive. Boo-hoo. Jesus Christ. We pay 75 euros per megawatt hour. But if the sun isn't there and the solar isn't there, then we have to pay 900 euros per megawatt hour. Cry me a river, anti-nuclear idiots. Sorry, sometimes I simply have to rant. In any case, I'm sorry, shouldn't do that. So, the electricity mix of Sweden, let's have a look, right? 29% nuclear, 40% hydro, 5% biofuels, then what this is waste of. Waste is 4 gigawatt hours. I don't know how much, what it is percentage-wise. They have 20% wind, respectable number. I wouldn't go much higher than that. And they have 2% solar, right? That's where it needs to be. They are at the northern latitudes. They can build as much solar as they want. It won't matter as much, especially during the winter when the days get really dark. Then we get the electricity mix of Norway. This is completely crazy. 98% hydro, 1% natural gas, 9% wind. If we all could be Norway, the world would be safe tomorrow. It would be easy sailing. There would be zero problem saving the world from carbon emissions and climate change. Zero problems. So let's go to Germany, the hypocrisy, the most hypocritical country on the planet. Coal, 26%. Oil, 1%. For electricity. For electricity. Who the hell burns oil for electricity? Natural gas, 17%. And then nuclear, because we're talking about 2023, 1.4%. Biofuels, biofuels is just as bad as coal, if you ask me. Then they got 27% wind. Woohoo! Applause, applause. 11% solar. I mean, it's dramatic. Just look at the differences, Emissions, 32 megatons of CO2, 36 megatons of CO2, 612 megatons of CO2. Here's the electricity maps map. They tell you exactly who is green and who is not, who is winning the decarbonization challenge. Now, France, they cracked it 50 years ago, and they stuck with it, even though they did have a moment of weakness in 2015, 2016, when they decided that they wanted to close Fessenheim to appease the Germans. 70 grams of CO2 equivalent per kilowatt hour. Right? It's not that much. It's not that much. Not that much. Here's Sweden, 25, 27, it's in the lowish, let's say in the 30s, 20s grams per 20 grams of CO2 equivalent per kilowatt hour. Then we go to Denmark. They want to act as if they are clean because they have tons of wind. They have the most wind of all Europe, if you look at it per capita. But they are burning, fossil fuels, and their carbon intensity is 190 grams of CO2 equivalent per kilowatt hour. And then we go to Germany, 483 grams of carbon dioxide equivalent, CO2 emissions per kilowatt hour. I mean, it's crazy. Poland, they are now catching up. They are building nuclear power plants. They understand what they need to do. Yes, they are even more dirtier than Germany is, but they are well behind Germany in the terms of, catching up economically. But they are catching up. Watch the polls. And then the Netherlands also, we are not much different from Germany. We still have one pressurized water reactor. We only had one. We had two nuclear power plants. One was a really, really little nuclear power plant, 53 megawatts. Little boiling water reactor built by GE Hitachi. Unfortunately, we decided that we wanted to close it. Now we have a 485 megawatt pressurized water reactor, which is still operational, but we have to stop kidding ourselves. We want to build a lot of wind and solar as well in the Netherlands. But where does our electricity come from? We have, half a dozen large coal plants in the Netherlands, really dirty coal plants. And we have a lot of gas plants. So it's coal and gas. That's what's running the Dutch economy at this moment, much like the German economy. Coal and gas. So, do I think that they are right to reconsider their interconnect? Norway, and Sweden. If you look at these prices, absurd prices, if we look at this interconnectivity, yes, it's a nice ideal where Europe, we want to help each other out. So if Germany decides that they want to be an energy vampire, then the Netherlands and Denmark and Sweden and Norway and the UK and Poland and the Czech Republic and Austria and Switzerland and France and Belgium. Let's not name Luxembourg because they don't have anything in terms of electricity production to speak of. But all the surrounding countries next to Germany have to pitch in to feed the energy vampire. Think about that. And that's what I want to leave you with today. Now consider leaving a like and a comment down below. Make sure that you have subscribed to the channel if you haven't already, because I try to make videos every day. It doesn't work every day. Sometimes I can't, but I try to make them every day. And if you want to support the channel, I'm going to do a fundraiser soon, but you can also support me either via Patreon. You can become a member, and you can even donate to me using PayPal if you want to, because I really need to get a lot of stuff done here in the house. Really could use your help. Now, thank you all for watching, and may the strong force be with you. Bye bye.